let's preview with my guy from the Fan in D.C., special teams great, also running back for Washington, Brian Mitchell, always spitting straight fire, joining us now on the D&M Leasing Hotline on 105.3 The Fan. Good morning, B. Mitch. How are you, man?
What's up, Sean? How you doing, bud?
Doing well. Thank you for joining us. Does it feel like we have switched spots now for the next 5 years, that the Dallas Cowboys are the Redskins, the Commanders, and now you guys are the stable team and franchise moving forward? Does it feel real and legit?
Well, it seems like that's just something that's happening this year. But you know what, man? When you look in the NFC East, you never know.
Yeah.
You know, that's rivalries, and those teams are going to play each other tough. Right now, the ownership seems more stable. I mean, Jerry has been successful, but he's always been a meddler, you know. So the whole thing about it is if he keeps doing what he's doing and acting as he acts, you know, it's going to always give everybody else a chance.
Do you think it's fair to put Jerry and Dan Snyder in the same sentence?
Well, Dan was he looked up to Jerry, so everything he did, he learned from Jerry. So he just didn't have that success. You know, Jerry had won Super Bowls and things like that, played football in college and things, but Dan never played no football any damn where. And he tried to be the big baller when he wasn't. And when you try to be something you're not, you're going to make way more mistakes. Jerry makes his mistakes, but he also has a football acumen, you know, but he likes to meddle too much. And I think that's a plus for everybody else dealing with him in the East.
B. Mitch, we've heard a lot of glowing reviews, obviously, of what Dan Quinn's done for culture and everything else like that in Washington. And then there's also been a lot of high, praise for Cliff Kingsbury and how he's helped bring Jayden Daniels along. Who do you think has been the bigger reason for this start? The changes Quinn has made to culture overall, or is it the stuff that Cliff Kingsbury's been able to do on offense?
Well, I think it's what Dan has done, you know, because all those different coaches to come in, and you got a lot of coaches with head coaching experience and things like that. Ken Norton has been around for a long time. Jason Simmons is an up-and-coming guy in the passing game on defense. He got all those guys to come here, as I was told by Adam Peters. Then when you look at the players that he brought in, the veteran players that he brought over here, they've made a big deal. So I have to lean towards Dan. You know, I think Cliff has done a great job with Jayden, but, you know, a lot of that is Jayden as well. You know, people like to always give somebody else the credit. I always say it's a combination. You know, Jayden Daniels is a worker. You know, he's a guy that's unlike, you all know, you see rookies coming in there every year. Some rookies come in and they think they own the world. Some rookies don't want to hear a damn thing from anybody. And then you find that one guy every blue moon that comes in and wants to learn, wants to work, wants to prove himself, and that's what Jayden Daniels is.
Brian Mitchell joining us on the D&M Leasing Hotline from D.C. Does it feel like, you always say the BS, does it feel like the typical BS that has plagued that franchise is gone with the new culture, with the new ownership as well? You mentioned Peters, Quinn, and the new ownership. Can you feel a culture change, and if so, how?
I felt it as soon as they purchased the team, to be honest with you. I think it was just a heavy load lifted. You know, this is one thing you can learn about things. When you look at people and people look at an owner, or you look at a father in a home and boss of any company out there, you watch the people that work for them, they act exactly like the owner. Okay? And that's how it was here for a long time. People in sales, people in media, everybody acting just like that because that's what he presented. Now you walk up to the same people that were there 2-3 years ago, and they are totally different people because they're taking on the mantra of what Josh Harris and his crew pushes. And, you know, I was leaving, Cincinnati one day, me and Santana Moss, and the young lady who works for security, like, oh, you can ride in the car with us. Nobody from Dan would have ever asked us to get in the car with them to go to the airport, no matter who the hell we were. So the whole mindset has changed, and people don't have to prove themselves in a negative manner.
Is he completely behind the scenes?
Josh?
Yeah.
You see Josh a lot, but he allows the football people to make football decisions. You know, you see him, he speaks to people, he's talking and he's conversing with fans and things of that nature, but he's not the guy where when the game is going a certain way, he's going to walk down to the sideline. You know what I mean? And start standing right behind the coach. He is around, he's visible in the business aspect, but the people that are here to run football operations, they're running the football operations.
Brian Mitchell joining us here on 105.3 The Fan. Y'all won 7 of 8, dropped the last 2. Did those 2 teams do anything different? Has the team maybe peaked already?
No, I don't think the team peaked. I think the Steelers game, they should have easily won that game. You know, they had 2 touchdowns dropped in that game. They had about 6 drops total. They lose by 1 point. Scored 27 against the Steelers. The Eagles game, the offense couldn't get anything going. And going into that week, they had talked about all these offensive linemen. 3 of the offensive linemen had 2 to 3 different injuries. Okay, they were on the football field. You know, once you're on the field, nobody cares about your injuries. The young kid in Coleman, he had an injury. He was setting very short, which I saw. And you can see Josh Sweat just coming off the edge, teeing off. And when your offensive line is banged up, everything is going to be suffering. Defensively, they played great. But if you can play great and your offense can help you out a little bit and keep you off the field, all of a sudden Saquon Barkley and them going to start to make some moves, and they did that late in that game.
B-Mitch, when you look at the way the Commanders have played defense this year, it looks like the running game has been the biggest issue for them to this point in terms of slowing down the rushing attack from other teams. Is that going to be the best mode of attack for Dallas, a team that has not really committed to the run at all this year? Are they going to have to commit to the run if they want a shot in this one?
I think teams that had good running games ran the ball effectively against them early. But for some reason, they've changed that stuff in the second half, and it wasn't the same effectiveness in the second half. I don't know if somebody come in knowing what to attack and then they adjust. But I feel if you could adjust the second half, you need to adjust a little sooner than the first half. But I think Dallas will have to do something like that. We've heard a lot of talk early in the year about the secondary. But I think Mike Samuelsfield has come in and played very well. You know, Benjamin St. Juste is a guy who doesn't – like he seems to be on the end of a bad play at the end of a game. But hell, he plays great for the most part. He's had high PFF grades. But so he just has to learn how to stop panicking down the stretch.
Brian, what was your opinion on the acquisition of Marshon Lattimore, and when's he going to get on the field?
Oh, I'm hoping he's on the field this week, but I love him. I've always loved the way he plays. Cornerbacks are those guys who go out there and, they boast a lot, but a lot of them don't want to deal with the physicality of the game. Marshon Lattimore is not that way. You look at the battles with him and Mike Evans down there in Tampa. Those guys go at it. And I think he is a guy who can take a number one receiver out of a game. He's a guy who can get under the skin of some of those bigger receivers who try to intimidate defensive back. He's not going to be intimidated. So I love that move. And I'm just like, for me, he wasn't a move for just this year. He's a move for the next 2 to 3 years. So if he is not completely healthy, don't rush him on the football field, especially when you have a hamstring and you're a speed guy. If you have a hamstring, you're a speed guy, you go mess it up, you may be out the rest of the year.
Brian, how many times have you guys compared Jayden Daniels to RG3? Is it a fair comparison, or you already know that this is different and it's going to work out better?
I haven't compared him at all because I see a complete difference. Robert was a running guy. Who cares about Robert? Jayden is a guy who's a passer who doesn't mind running, and the dude cares about nothing but his team being successful. I can see the total difference in them, but I can understand why people are going to sit up there and, compare them. You look at 2 Heisman Trophy winners, second, same pick. Both of them are brothers who run the football. They're going to be compared. But when you look at them, they are 2 totally different people, and I think the makeup is totally different.
The great Brian Mitchell from the Fan in D.C. and our Odyssey station previewing the game on Sunday. It looked like you guys chose Dan Quinn over Belichick, and it looks like it's working out. What did you think of the hire in the moment at the time, and what are some of the other things that you've noticed about Dan Quinn and the way he runs things?
Well, I didn't even think Belichick was a person that was in contention. I thought it was Ben Johnson or Dan Quinn. And I've always, you've been around me long enough, Sean. I don't want somebody that don't want to be here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you don't want to be here, to hell with you, bye. And the people that want to be here, that's who you want. And as I was talking, when Adam Peters came in, everybody said, oh, we got the main guy now. We got the general manager. I said, well, whoever he hires, go with it. Because if he's that smart, he was the number one move you need to make. He came in, and they were trying to deal with Ben. Ben thought he was going to get a haul. He thought he was going to make $14 million or something like that. No, you're not going to make that. Not in the first try. So you get Dan Quinn, and all I hear about Dan Quinn, oh, man, he made it to the Super Bowl, they didn't win it. How many coaches make it to the Super Bowl and don't win? The guy that was on the other side calling the plays, so he's been to 3 Super Bowls totally, and he hadn't won. in Mike Shanahan's son, Kyle.
Yeah.
You know, and this year they're suffering, and people still praise him. So Dan comes in, and then all of a sudden when the coaches came in, and I talked with Adam, and he was like, look, these guys came because of him. And as I talked to some of my friends that were hired on his staff, they all came because of him. So I was cool with it. You know, hell, at least he made it to a Super Bowl. How many people over the last few years with Washington can say that about?
Brian, you know players then. You obviously know players now, being around them and covering them. Do you think that a Bill Belichick would it still work in today's league? Is Bill Belichick the perfect fit in Dallas with Jerry? What would be a hire here to replace McCarthy that would worry you?
Bill Belichick could still work in this league. He's just going to have to take ownership to be able to allow him to run and support it. You know, the only time that a coach of his caliber, those type of coaches where they're going to be in your face and they're going to demand stuff, the only time that doesn't work is when you don't have support from the front office and the ownership. Because if everybody says this is how it's going to be, what the hell are the players going to do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're going to follow suit. They're not going to be, if you can run around the coach and go to the owner or you go to the GM or whatever, yes, it'll get a little fractured. But if everybody supports one way, hell, you have to do that or you can get the hot way. You know, I think people want to win. Bill will get instant credibility, but how many owners can allow Bill Belichick to come into the building and when he becomes instantly the man? I don't care if they own the team or not. If Bill is running your franchise, Bill's the guy because he doesn't want you around. You need to step away, sit in your box, do your stuff, but I'm going to run the football operations.
So do you think players would prefer to play for a former player?
A lot of players will. You know, if the former player has shown he's a leader, yes. If the former player has been a damn dope all this time, nobody want to play for him. Just like you don't want to play for – see, Coach Gibbs never played football. You know, he wasn't a former player in the league. Andy Reid played football when he was young. He wasn't a former player in the league. But those guys understand, I'm going to listen to you, but I'm going to treat you like a man. A lot of these coaches who haven't played, they want to just act as if they're bigger than the game. And I think when you start doing that, whether you're a former player or not, players are going to just dismiss you. They're not going to listen to you.
Former running back Brian Mitchell joining us now, the host of B. Mitch and Finley on 106.7 The Fan in Washington, D.C. All right, so you talked about how, you know, Jayden Daniels uses his legs and he uses them effectively, and it's been a weapon for them. The first 5 weeks of the season, he was averaging like 12 carries a game, 60 yards. He scored 4 rushing touchdowns. Team was 4-1. In the weeks since then, his carries have plummeted. Teams are, it feels like, forcing him to play from the pocket more. Washington's 3-3 in those 6 weeks. Even though you feel like he's got the ability from within the pocket, does he still need to have that threat with his legs in order to be consistently successful?
Well, I think if you are a guy who can run, you need to always have that threat because it makes things a lot easier. It loosens up things for you. But I think what Jayden did, once Jayden was starting to listen to everyone that said, you need to go down, you need to protect yourself, you need to go down. And when he went down against the Panthers, he was running with a guy behind him. If he had just stiffed the guy and kept running, I don't think he hurt his ribs. But he tried to go down, and the guy was right there, and the guy fell on him and hurt his ribs. Once his ribs got hurt, now everybody's telling him to protect your ribs. So you're a little hesitant to run the football. And I think once that pain threshold leaves, he goes back to who he is. I don't think he's going to change completely his game, but I understand why over the last few weeks. But you need to have that. You need to have that running. And I think also he missed Brian Robinson 2 of those weeks. Brian Robinson is key. When Brian Robinson is playing and you can't stop the run, you're in trouble. And then if you can't stop Brian, then you're going to have to start committing more people to the inside, and then Jayden has the edge all by himself.
Brian Robinson is a beast. When I sit here,
he's hardcore, bro.
Dang,
I love that dude.
Who's the best team and who's the worst team in the East?
Best team in the East right now, I would say, is the Eagles. Okay. The worst team is the Giants. The Giants confused. Let's be real, dude. You honestly, man, don't let that man go. Don't let that guy go to Philly. I'll be sick. And you let him go to Philly. And then you were fighting for. You basically told Daniel Jones we didn't want you in the beginning of the year. They were trying to get every quarterback they can get. And then the season started. Now you're going to say, tell Daniel Jones, we're going to bench you. They're only benching him because they don't want to pay him. He has an injury settlement, so they have to pay him $29 million if he gets injured. And now they go to – they don't know if they're going to Locke or DeVito. I mean, either one of them still trash, so who cares?
Is this going to be a beatdown on Sunday? Another beatdown that the Cowboys suffer? The spread right now is about 10.
See, I'm a different mindset. I'm a former player, and I know every time we went into a game, we're supposed to roll somebody. It doesn't happen that way, especially if it's a rival. Fans think that way. I don't think that way. I think it's going to be a tough game. I'm serious.
Is this still Dallas week, or are we so terrible that it's lost some luster?
Well, I think it lost luster because Dallas was always the better team coming here.
Yeah.
So right now, the people that have been quiet for all these years, they better start yelling. It better be Dallas week.
Last one for you. Are Redskins and RFK both coming back?
RFK may come back. Redskins will never come back.
They going to stick with Commanders?
I don't know if they're going to stick with Commanders, but the Redskin name is gone. Everybody, you hear these people talking about all these people that signed this petition. You know how many people signed the petition opposite of that? Probably 10 to 100 times more.
Wow.
So, listen, I understand the need and the want, but let me tell you one thing. When you talk to most players and you talk to them deep down inside, nobody plays for a name. They play for family pride. They play for team pride. They play for their teammates. They play to go out there, and some of them play just for the money. But it's not that, the name made me play harder. Nobody cares. When you're on the football field, you're in it.
Thank you, brother. Love you. Appreciate it. Enjoy the game, and I'll talk to you in a few hours.
All right, bro. Take care, man.